Good day. My name is Ken Lasseson. I wrote a microbiome prescription website. To do my usual disclaimer, I am not a medical professional. What I am is a well-skilled, credentialed statistician, operation research person, AI person, including teaching all those things at university level. And from that, I have created a system which some people who have reviewed deem probably a league or two ahead of anything else on the planet, mainly because of the amount of mathematics involved that is slightly overwhelming to people who would be medical professionals. It's just sort of a quirkiness. I happen to have read a lot of medical articles and frustration of being on a STEM program when I was a teenager, and learned a fair amount that way. Okay, so much about me. I'm going to be walking through a person in a bit more detail than usual. The person requested it. I happen to have adequate time this weekend to do it, so we're going to go through it. First, I'm going to read aloud what she sent me. My symptoms have been vast. I'm under different specialists for a multitude of symptoms, so it's hard to just pinpoint what the issue is. The last few years I've had random symptoms from UTI to developing gluten sensitivity and not tolerating some foods like a pork allergy, etc. I under consideration for spec and endo issues. November 2024. Started with sinus symptoms. I was given 3 months of antibiotics, which I now know was stupid. I refused the fourth. January 2024, I started with a drunk sensation that would be like I was slowly processing things, like when you had the drink or two, was almost like visually impact. June 24, I started with constipation, sweat, nausea, etc., and that's where it snowballed. September 24, I now had what they thought was a seizure, but it was ruled out, so I got up in the night and hit the floor. From then on, I suffered more severe gut problems like blurring sensation, feeling of being bruised, heart palpitation, heart heaviness of the chest, feeling of being full for minimal food, constipation, then used stools, vomiting, migraines, sore throat. I saw a holistic nutritionist and then cleared my diet up, removed sugar, gluten, dairy, etc. In January 25, my skin flared, which I think was histamine reaction from high histamine foods, and then we can look to do everything. I haven't lost symptoms, I just gained more. Doctors can't figure out what's wrong with me. I'm convinced it's in these results, the microbiome results, even paid for Genova testing too. I tried multiple specialists, NHS, in UK, and private and functional. I tried PHCG, vitamin C, quercetin, etc., etc., etc. And at one point, I could only eat rice cakes, and that was all. I tried liquid diet a lot. Now I'm just trying to eat to stay alive as I'm underweight, and it's creating more symptoms. Thank you for your help. Okay, we have a full stack of issues here. She was a good person, and when you just her sample in front there, and when I take beginning symptoms, page gold, and she was nice, and she went and marked out the ones which are most significant there and which are predicted, and actually I think she only did the worst ones. He actually only did the worst ones, which is fine. I'll toss in a couple more medical sensitivity, since that was indicated. Tolerance of, let's see if anything else shows up. More histamine and mast cell issues. She indicates possible reaction there. Let's go down. Must be anxiety there. Weight loss again without trying. Mark that one. And I think I'll leave that for the moment. Okay, the reason I wanted to make sure there are a reasonable number there, is that since we use biome site tests and we have 4,000 samples of different people, we have been able to identify different symptoms combinations with the bacteria which are associated without doing some advanced statistics. So the more we have here, the better we are able to identify the key bacteria involved. So being reasonably good there, perhaps only the most severe the first time through, then if the results aren't particularly good or you don't have many bacteria identified, go back and then take the second level, third level, etc. You could some people just about everything should get clicked, which is nice, but it almost overwhelms the number of bacteria to be identified. So what you want to do is just go for the most extreme and then a bit more, and it's an iterative process, I'm afraid to say. Over here we have everything has been changed down to be all the marked, and we could put something like 50 here and there, and the number here doesn't really matter. It shows up on the first screen only, but the first screen gives you a summary and then gives you links to more details. Even though we have, say, 50 here, the consensus shows everything. So everything is calculated and we only list the top 50. So everything is calculated. Get suggestions, we wait and we spin. And we spin, and here we have the 9 symptoms there, and from those 9 symptoms we have 16 bacteria which have been identified, and we can go and do all of them, but just change that arbitrarily. For example, we have low lactobacillus, which is not unsurprising. We have bifido isn't on there. We have a variety of things, low or high. Generally, we have a fair number at the genus level. We have the characteristics here, and then we have suggestions down here. Okay, now you notice down below the names there, and what often has happened, mainly because the data uses both clinical studies, which often will use the scientific name and not the common name. You find a lot of things are listed by both scientific and common name, and usually the common name is in round brackets afterward. And then we have the weight for things that are expected to help and things that are expected to hurt. Given some of her symptoms, I'm not surprised these two are at the top. Both of them are chronic fatigue syndrome, things which have been shown to be effective for chronic fatigue syndrome. And given a lot of her symptoms smells like early chronic fatigue syndrome before it stabilized into exhausting fatigue, I'm not surprised. She probably an early one. There we have what I often see with chronic fatigue people. We have chicory, walnuts being in the food list, etc. And also rye bread, which gives you a different type of gluten than wheat gluten. Okay, but we'll come to everything there. The first thing I want to do is actually, given her degree of food allergy, I want to go over and take a look at, given those shifts, which probiotics are most likely to do it. And we do that with some fancy statistical engine, and we'll hop over there and take a look at it. And what we have is we have the ones there, and the first 3 are basically probiotics in development. They ain't there yet. We have Vanilla atypica, which is there and is an all good one. It is offered from one company in the US, asserting that it is what it is declared here. If economics and tariffs permits it, then hunting that one down. Anacardium felicum is there, and that one is a relatively cheap one to get hold of, but it has both good and bad. My usual preference is always to go for ones which are good only. And the next one that real good only is Bacillus subtilis, which is easy to get. Many provided there. And Lactobacillus plantarum is another one. So those are easy to do on my usual site. Actually, give me a moment. I'm going to just pause. I'll go to Common Sense and find the best probiotic for a condition. And Maple Life Science is what I personally use. It is, especially when people are walloped for, sorry for that. Okay, to resume correctly, common questions and risk with health food store probiotic mixtures. Then you find a direct link to Maple Life Sciences. And there we have it. And you will notice the price is cheap. It's $8, $14. I mean, just cheap. And actually, the bigger the quantity you order, the better. There, and let's go back and take a look at the one which was Endococcus faecium. If we go there, I picked that one because that one is often a harder one to find. And there we are, nice and easy. So it's there, and just basically copy and paste. So that one is the easy one. Let's go down to the next one. Actually, let's try that one. I don't think it's there, but it's nice to go and go back, and let's go here, and nope, it's not there. But I do know Bacillus subtilis is there, as well as Endococcus faecium. And again, preference is one which has only good impact is what we want to do. Again, that is going conservative. And there we have it, $8. Nice and easy, $8, $9, probably about £10 sterling or around that. So the cost is reasonable, and that is a full bottle, well tested, no additives, which can be a problem. And generally comes fresh from the factory. So we have the plantarum there, and then we have ones which should be avoided. This list is, especially the ones to be avoided, you see there's only, you see how we have 45 entries, and we have 14 takes, and the other 31 are to be avoided. So many probiotics should be avoided, just for clarity. And you can go and actually go through that list and do a search for ones there. Now, there is all sorts of information in different spots here, and everything is magically aggregated into one magical solution. In time, I probably will, but that takes a fair amount of programming and a fair number of hours. So that's on my to-do list, but it'll be a while before I do it. But so we can go back, and now we have all the things here. But my usual suggestion is to go over to consensus report. Also look at the food pattern one, but let's go to the consensus report first. Open a new window. And there we have there. And now with the consensus report, I can go in and click in probiotics. So here we have there. And hey, guess what? What showed up here is what was on the other one. Some of the items here, like the kefir one, we do not have listed in R2 because it's a very rare bacteria. There, wait a minute. Pedicle acidiphus. Let's go back. Oh, not quite. This is a related one, but it may have a similar effect. Again, these suggestions are based on clinical studies. Not everything gets studied. The R squared is actually based on a reference set of 1,000 healthy individuals with shotgun processing and deriving the impact from that set of data. What, for example, if a person is high in Bacillus subtilis, what is he low in, or what goes up with it? So what is the relationship? What's called R squared relationship? So it goes there. and Keferi there, Bifidobacterium, Paracassi, some of them are there. And what we can do is anyone we are interested in, let's just put the word bifidum there and take a look to see compared to R2. Remember, my preference is for people to go conservative. We find only one bifido is good. We find most of them are bad, so I would say avoid bifidobacteria entirely. Ignore the consensus suggestion. And the reason is one is based on very sparse fragmented data. The other one has a very good comprehensive data set to derive from. So this one is my original approach, which still works because the other way only works for probiotics. This works for everything else. So we can go in and take a look at, for example, we can skip that one, the mixture, forget that one. We could see Acromentum municipa. I know I have it in R2. So that's R2, and that one is negative. Again, notice that it has good and has bad, so it's a mixed response. And when something is mixed, we do not know for sure which way it's going. It could make things better, could make things worse. My preference is for the sake of reducing risk. Remember, my training in statistics and probability, so hence my focus is trying to have the ones with the highest probability of causing a safe change. I tend to go conservative where possible, and where you have 3 or 4 sources of information, go only for what every single item agrees with. That is conservative approach is the most likely to actually get success. The other things may or may not help. There's a chance it will help. There's a chance it will make you worse. And I'd rather stack the odds into the most likely to make you better. So here we have that, and we can let's take a look at Lactobacillus, and go back and let's see there. And all the Lactobacillus are harmful. Now, stop for a moment. A naturopath would usually prescribe Bifidobacterium and Lactobacillus probiotics. According to the chart, guess what? Everything is likely to make you worse, which may have been a result of you going to a naturopath, may have contributed to the issue, mainly because they're using cookbook formulas. Here I'm using heavy calculations. Okay, so we have probiotics covering there. Now let's go through and look at something like vitamins and minerals. Let's go down there, and here we see we don't want to help. I just got a message this morning. The person had a B12 injection and made a whopping big difference in her overnight. So we see here, and one word of warning is don't do a kitchen sink vitamin B where we put everything in. Go by the individual species. We have iodine being important there. Lithium is probably going to be hard to do. It's in there because some people are prescribed it. Calcium supplements are there. And let's go and take a look at something else over here while I'm going through. We have take counts and avoid counts, and everything is calculated through 5 different sets of algorithms. And we thereby find out what each algorithm suggests. The best thing is something which everybody agrees on, or everybody agrees that you shouldn't take it, are the best. So ones which are take count of 5 and avoid count of 5. For example, avoid count, we don't have anybody with 5, we have some 4. Mixture vitamin B, which I just mentioned, is to avoid. Vitamin D is at present an avoid. But let's go and look at the positive. So we have 2 things. We have vitamin A, and we have lithium, we have calcium, we have these ones, and then we have 4. When you get down to ones with any negatives, like vitamin folate here, then again, keeping to my conservative approach, don't do it, because you are gambling. You're throwing a dice to see if it does. So you only have B9, B12, B7, B2, calcium supplement, vitamin A, etc. Now, one question that often comes up to people is dosages. So, let's take a look at there, and oops, let me go back and hit the wrong page. Library, supplement dosages, right there in the library, open there. And what we have here is dosages. For example, we could type in vitamin A, okay, let's see if we can find vitamin A in the list. Vitamin K, oh yes we do, the first one, vitamin A. So if you click here and look at studies and trials, we find dosages and which are being used there, and we find high is 200,000 IUs, but typically it seems the typical dose is 25,000 IUs per day. So that would be the dosage you would want to do. If you go down to calcium, let's see if we have calcium on the list. The list is not complete. And let's go back here. There we go. Studies and studies here, and we find, I would say probably about 1,200 milligrams a day would be where to go. Now, I'm not pulling these suggestions off. These are coming from studies where a MD or a researcher has determined that this study dosage was safe for doing clinical study with. And where the safety aspect of is it too much or too little has already been determined by a qualified professional. All I'm doing is reporting the level which they use in their studies, and probably in time will add more things, but it takes time to get everything researched and added and to get a link back to the study. So we have things there, and you can take a look, for example, vitamin B12. Each one of those you can go and take a look at and find the dosages there. Okay, so we are at there, so that takes care of the vitamin. B12 was predicted to work with 4 and 0, and according to the email I got from the person, it worked, which means, guess what? You probably should have some trust in these suggestions as being reasonable. Let's take a common over-the-counter things. We have TUDCA, and again we want to click here and do by sorting. We have TUDCA, NAC, borax, that should be misplaced, lidocaine, chloride, which may or may not. Ibuprofen helps, but avoids a little bit of a negative, but not enough. Quercetin, which comes there. Again, you want to try keeping to the top of the list, and so TUDCA would be my first suggestion for over-the-counter one. And we'll talk more about rate of introduction. Don't do everything all one time, because guess what? Then if you have adverse reaction, you have no idea which one is causing it. Do it one at a time so you know which things help or which things don't help. Okay, diets, I'll come back. Drug or non-drug is there, and all the values are pretty small here. So I will probably skip over that. Flavonoids. Again, click here. Oranges and lemons. Basically, just if you can't have oranges and lemons, it is available as a supplement, Nobilinum. And since you're in London, listen to the bells of St. Clements. Oranges and lemons at the bells of St. Clements. Another one here, which is 4 there. Again, there's only 4, which basically make their red wine polyphenols there. But we have, if we go down to resveratrol, which is very similar. It doesn't have it. So my suggestion would be to skip the resveratrol, and you notice the avoid net is significantly high. So basically the top two would be the only ones I would consider taking. There are food, excluding foods, omega-3 is void count 5-1. That is a unusual case. So walnuts, which was there, A2 milk if you can get it. Progenitor flour is another one. Again, the idea is 5, 0, 0 across, or if not, then you want the number here to be small relative to there, and no salt, etc. Now, we can also do the same thing for void counts, and high red meat to be avoided, red wine to be avoided, high sucrose. Hey, wait a minute, you went on a sucrose is sugar, you went on a low sugar diet, and that I seem to remember helping you. Again, everything here is somewhat agreeing with what you have actually experienced there. So you want to look at the avoid and the takes. I know it's time consuming. It is very time consuming. Again, you want to concentrate on the ones which are everybody there. The mixtures are one which generally I would not worry too much about. Try to avoid if you can. If you happen to be Jewish, hey, no problem avoiding pork. There, and I apologize again for the names of things like here. We'll come to a solution for that in a short period of time. Food preservatives are take count. Okay, we have aspartame, sugar substitute, sulfonate, those are fruit coloring additives, and then there's nothing else there on the void side. We have, good. We have saccharin on the void. This is interesting. One artificial sugar is on the take, and one artificial sugar is on the sulfurate is on the take. So which type of artificial sugar is critical in your case? Let's go on to herb and spices. Grapeseed extract is sitting up there. Notice the grapeseed extract is different than grapeseed polyphenols or resveratrol. The extract is from the seed, not the grape itself, and that one is sitting reasonably high. Marijuana, unless you're in certain American states, you could have problems getting that. Cannabinoids is all sitting there. Evening primrose oil would look like a good solution. Evening primrose oil has pretty good effects for chronic fatigue syndrome, but for some chronic fatigue subset. And again, things to avoid is mango ginger, curcumin, licorice, mint, saffron, milk thistle, mangoberry. Many of these items you will find are standard suggestions from naturopaths. We want to be conservative. We want only things that they, if you're dealing with naturopath, only things that they suggest and which his system suggests. We want to go conservative. We want to go with things that everybody is in agreement with, and that's it. Everybody is in agreement with. System does 5 different ways of doing things, and compare that. For probiotics, we have a 6th way. We have the R2 relationship, which gives you actually probably far stronger information there. Miscellaneous food additives. I'm sorry. No booze. Absolutely no booze. Sorry. You probably have already discovered that the hard way. And Onga Pet is sitting there. They have hassles with them, and furanic acid, Pepto-Bismol. Again, some of these things are not typical things. Other things like biosupplements, yes, but the estimated net impact is very minor, so it's likely not a high priority. not classified, a few fluoride. Fluoride toothpaste is good. Fluoride will cause some bacterial shifts in the whole system. In this case, it's good, so keep brushing with the fluoride toothpaste. Prebiotics, let's take a look at that. Prebiotics, chicory is definitely sitting there, and I'm going to do a, you can, on this one, you can do a double sort. So I have chicory, Phyllisum is there, and those are the two. Again, the next priority is an indicator of where you should rank it in your experiment. Remember, you're going to be doing experiments on each and every one of those. Subscription others, we have the items listed there, and generally prescriptions are not antibiotics, but they do have antibiotics effect. If you're doing any of them for other reasons, you may want to check to see whether or not they are good or bad. If they're bad, then you may want to consider stopping them or asking your stop them after talking with your MD, or asking your MD for something else which behaves the same, which has a positive value. Often that means a fair amount of work, and we have done vitamins in there. Okay, so now let's go back to diet style. And we have low protein diet and whole grain diet are being good. You did mention issues with gluten, but the issue with gluten, one of the key items at the top was rye bread, which is a different type of gluten than the regular gluten. So you want 100% rye bread, which generally you can get as German pumpernickel, which would be imported from Germany to the UK. It has no wheat in it, no wheat gluten, which could be the problem, not rye gluten, or this amount. So now we're back to the original. We go and we do all the things there, and we can go down and take a look at there and see the thing. Oh, okay. Oops, sorry. I should have doubled there. There we have. You could see if your MD is amenable for either of those two. There, and whether or not it will help or not. Again, that I would, given your experience with antibiotics, is a down the pipeline suggestions. Try doing it. But the key thing is, you notice all the top antibiotics or most of the top antibiotics are all used for chronic fatigue syndrome, which you look like you're heading towards. Now, definition of chronic fatigue syndrome requires you to have exhausting fatigue for a minimum of 6 months. Typically, it takes 6 to 15 years to get chronic fatigue syndrome, or ME, which is the usual UK thing. You are in early stages, which means your odds of modifying your microbiome to stop you from going into that literally nightmare is good. The fact that so many chronic fatigue syndrome associated antibiotics which help chronic fatigue syndrome is showing up is a good sign. There, so we have things, for example, like rhubarb. That's good. So rhubarb pie, low on sugar, please. Dandelion tea. On constitution, we have already seen, and we have shown where you can get it. Kefir probiotic is available in Italy only, and we have no information from R2 on that impact. If you know somebody who's going to Italy, could ask them to bring back some. And then we have some things from Chinese medicine. So it goes there. Okay, so that gives it. Now, let's talk for a moment about process. My process is my philosophy is very simple. We want to know what helps and what hurts, which means in general, you introduce ideally one thing once a week and see what the impact is. If the impact is negative and it's not a die-off impact, with every antibiotic you are going to get die-off. With some herbs you're going to get die-off. If it's negative impact but not a die-off, then stop right away. Give yourself 2 days to purge the system, hopefully get back to normal. Then do the next thing on the list. You want to write out a list of things to take day by day, week by week, month by month. And every time you take something which is good, you put a tick by it. If it's a herb or spice or probiotic, you should rotate them every 2 weeks to do something different. And there's a fair amount of reason behind that. But that's suppose we want to go back and look at what you want to do in terms of food, because a lot of these things are chemicals which are extracted from food, but you are probably clueless on which food to take. That's where the food planner menu is, which we can click here, and actually let's make sure I open up a new window so I can hop back. Okay, let's try that again. Okay, I'm going to pause for a moment. Okay, there are technical issues with the site which I have quickly fixed. If the site doesn't work, please tell me. Sometimes things go strange for one reason or another. And there, so what we have actually two. One is from a couple of days back where it was done with the original set without the additional one, and then the 119 is the one which we just did. So what we have here is we have current menu plan which you can build up of quick avoid foods, quick take foods. Let's take a look at quick avoid foods first. And I'm going to click here. And now it goes through a massive data. Okay, just discovered a logic bug, which unfortunately happens. And most of them I catch, just one I missed. So we are now on the food side. We'll have not two, but one. Every sample name should have exactly listed once. If it occurs twice, it's a bug, so please contact me and I'll fix it. So we have quick take foods and quick avoid foods. So quick take foods are things calculated based on the nutrients in it. Remember, the original thing lists nutrients and sometimes by nutrient component, which people don't usually know where it is. And now we have the ones with the best nutrients. We have rhubarb, chicory, salt. We have something which wasn't listed before, silver beet, which has it, cloudberry, walnut liqueur, walnuts, buckwheat, blueberry, chicory, sunflower seed, burdock, chocolate milk. Probably chocolate will maybe on the list too. Macaroni and cheese there. So the food site is based on dozens and dozens, literally dozens of site sources around the world. And here is a list of all the data I haul in from all sorts of different sources. So you will get some oddball things, including things like seal and moose on the list. So let's go back and take a look at there. And to get back to the original one, just click there. And quick avoid foods. Instead of the error, we now get things there. So food pastries, all of them probably have similar characteristics of it. If you click on any one of them, like licorice black, it will go and show you what's in there, sugar, glucose, etc., things to be avoided, and if the amount is deemed to be a significant amount. You could go back here and actually look at the nutrients identified if you're interested. So these are the things like oxalic acid. You probably have no clue as what contains oxalic acid or crystalline. And all you have to do is go here and click here, and it will list the foods that contains it. Now, foods contain many things, including sometimes items which are counterindicated from another item. So the system tries calculating out all these counterindications and coming up with the best suggestions possible. So that gives you the nutrients, And you can build up a menu plan if you want, or just make use of the quick avoid throughs, etc. So basically that is how you convert the suggestions, which again, let's look at them again, are all sorts of things which you have probably no idea of how much adrenaline contain. You may know one food which somebody told you is rich in that, but not all of them. Let's take a look at all of them. And here are all the foods which are rich in it. And you can see some are there, and those are the ones which are really rich. And then you can see down there, for example, mango, guava, pineapple are rich by a decreasing amount. And peanuts is a grand winner there in terms of things that are good. Now, balancing all the nutrients is where the quick take food comes in. There, and you can actually go and do something like where does peanuts on combination, and peanut basically shows up pretty good there, and you can do cross-reference back and forth. So we have a little bit of fun going back and forth between the things, but it gives you information, and information to work from is my goal of doing things. Okay, let's go back and do a quick recap. Best solution is symptoms, because that allows us to identify better which bacteria, instead of literally hundreds of bacteria, which may be out of range. We only focus on those which are symptom associated, which means the ones which are likely to get the biggest bang for trying to correct. Rather than fixing the whole world, we could just deal with fixing the leaking faucet or the eaves trough which is full of leaves. We are identifying exactly what we want to do. We're not saying, okay, do the whole renovation on the house. We are saying, okay, we are going to focus on trouble spots. The leaking faucet or the leaking overflowing eavesdrops. That is our main concern, or whatever happens to be the issue. Let's take care of those issues and go there. From that, we end up getting our symptom. We have symptom entry, which allows you to enter more symptoms. We have the consensus report, which takes us over to where is it? There, which gives you their links to how things calculated. Again, you want take count to be high with hopefully no avoids, and you want to avoid things which are high in avoids. And those are just simply guidance. There are a large number of items. They are, how many items do we have? We have 1,600 different foods listed. So it's time consuming. And what you want to do is hit the big one. Going through all of them probably makes no great benefit, because if you go down there, you end up, you're still getting some stuff there, sitting there. But you, we really don't want to go through all the details, which is why the short list here of the top 50 and the bottom 50 is probably what you want to work from. It makes a manageable amount. And if you want to, for example, avoid antibiotics, you just go back here, take your antibiotics, remove it. And let's take a look at our pharmaceutical reviews. And then just do it again. And there we have, oh, okay, for some, I know why, because I didn't save those things, but there we end up with the suggestions, and we have the shorter list. So, that is basically, the fundamentals. If you go back after doing it, you notice everything is automatically rechecked, and this is automatically updated, so there's a refresh of the page to restore whatever was there prior. Then we can go to food sites, and we can see what we have there. And when you do a new change, all of this should be revised and updated. Okay, so let's do a quick recap. One is enter your symptoms. 2, and all your main symptoms, and you have the predicted symptoms, which are the ones which we are best able to identify which bacteria are involved. Take a look at the list. Reduce the types as you desire to things like, for example, removing antibiotics. Then you can go and look at the list and work with it, or you can go over the full detail. When it comes to probiotics, always do R2, the R2 option, which is right here, because, or at least my personal feeling is, it's the most reliable for correctly predicting if a probiotic is going to be good or bad. And what you really want to do is focus on the ones which A, you can obtain at a reasonable cost, and then 2, ones like this one which you can obtain which has no bad aspects, so you are eliminating risk as much as you possibly can, and then order it from your preferred source. I do have already indicated my preferred source. And you can link to it easy enough up here. And Risk with Health Food gives you my preferred sources. And these are all single species probiotics. So you get your list. Now you start adding things in one at a time. And if you have a good response, then perhaps in 3 days or 5 days you could add something else. If you have no response, give it 5 days to see if there's a change. If you have a horrible response and it's not a herb or antibiotic, or probiotic, which could imply die-off, then stop immediately. If it looks like it could be die-off, then give it a couple of days, and your horrible period of days should decrease each day if it is die-off. If it doesn't decrease, then stop because something else is happening. Okay, so I think that is largely it. Rotate. Introduce things one at a time. Rotation, particularly for herbs and probiotics, should be rotated. Other things can generally be taken constantly without a problem, like vitamins can be taken constantly. Remember that we have supplement dosages. Pay attention to those, because often dosages suggested on the bottles are far from correct. Often they're arbitrarily done, and usually lack research. And go with established dosages which have been used, and if the dosage has been, if you have multiple studies listed and some of them are effective, the ones which would be marked are effective by dosages, you want to make the grading. Other things are clinical trials, which means somebody is trying them but haven't given the result. We show how much you are trying, whether or not it works or not, we don't know. The ones which are listed, which has the word effective on the right side, is the ones you want to make do. And let's take a look at something like B12. There we have clinical trials there. And none of those are marked effective, but we do see the dosages. So 500 milligrams per day is there. She's doing with injection, so it's basically a moot point. The amount being injected is enough to cause significant change. Okay, at this point in time, I think I'll sign off. I think I've covered everything. I've got some other issues I need to take care of. Okay, have a good day, and bye for now.